Hello, ladies. Welcome to Ignite Your Destiny. I'm Jamie Marie, and I am so excited to welcome Gail Swift with us today. Hello, Gail.
Hello.
We're so grateful that you are here.
I'm very grateful to be here too. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Awesome. Can you share with the ladies more about you?
Yes, I can. Is there anything specific you'd like to know as far as
No,
any? Yeah.
about who you are as a mama, who you are in business, just so they can get to know you.
It is it's kind of like chasing a greased pig. That's for sure. There is no landing spot. I feel like the journey of being a mom and the journey of being a business owner is pliable, and it's always just changing, and I'm growing and learning with every opportunity that I interact with my family and my clients, for sure.
Yes, definitely. It's a growth. It's definitely personal growth being a mama.
It is. You think you're going to land, and then you just don't. It just
Yes,
doesn't happen that way.
yes, not at all. It's always
No.
changing. So tell
Right.
them what you do with your line of work.
So I work with the third part of the mind. I work with Conation, and I am a Colby consultant. So Kathy Colby is the one who brought up actually a signature test to measure instincts while striving. And I decided to become a Colby consultant a few years ago. And so what I do is I tell people how they work naturally when free to be themselves.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm being really free to be myself today.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
We're
Yes.
gonna have fun. So share with the ladies, like, okay, so because I know what Colby is, so maybe some of the ladies watching don't. So share with them like what that is and what happens with it.
Okay, so there are three parts of the mind. There's the cognitive part, which is what you know, your schooling and your education and your IQ. And then there's the affective part, which is what you like, your personality, your social style. And then there's the conative part, which are your instincts that you were born with. And so Kathy Colby has figured out a way to measure them while striving. And, Jamie, life is hard enough. It is. It's hard enough. And so my thought into getting into this is, why not know a part of you? Why not know that one part of you that doesn't change over time? Because you're born with these instincts and you're going to die with the instincts. And it's how you work, and it doesn't change. So why not make it a little easier and know how you work? So you're not what I call, there's another little Gailism, petting a cat backwards or going, because cats don't like to be pet backwards.
I'm writing it down.
Or
so
why go?
Everybody knows we're laughing because earlier she said, "Holy buckets of cheese and rice," and I just laughed it. And I said, "Can I write it down, please?"
Of course you can. So it's hard enough. Why not go with the grain is the point. Why not go with the grain? That's what I do. I try and go with the grain. I help people go with their own grain.
And I love that. And it's so important because it is born, and it is part of us when we're born. And like you said, it's never going to change. I
Right.
often see people that the things that they loved when they were children or that were hobbies as children actually turn into what they do as an adult. And that's a reflection of that. Do you see that as well with people you work with?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, the reason this kind of amped up a little bit is I have been familiar with Colby since 1991. But as soon as I became a mom, Jamie, and I wanted to do this mom thing well, I wanted to do it right. And I am so passionate about, trying to be the best mom I can be, that when I looked at my kids and when they were little and they were 2 and 4, and I remember thinking, they don't work like I do. They don't process things. They don't work like I do. They're different than me. Let's observe that and pay attention to that. And so when I paid attention to that and I didn't impart my way of working on them, I recognized that they were filled up.
Yes.
And I called Colby and I called Colby Corp and I said, hey, I need to get, an assessment done on my kids. When can this happen? And they said that you need a 4th grade reading level for a Colby Y index, which to me felt like 100 years, Jamie.
Right.
Because they're 2 and 4. And so I just observed, and I recognized definite differences in the 2 of them. And it was because I had the freedom to work my way that I recognized and was able to give them the freedom to work their way. Yeah.
And that's so important, because right now I feel like we have a whole bunch of grown-ups walking around with this, I don't want to call it baggage, but baggage from what they've been told they need to be. So I love that you recognized with your own children that they aren't somebody that you want them to be. They're who they are uniquely made to be.
Right.
So how do you feel? I mean, if you had not recognized that, how do you feel that would have impacted them in their world, today?
Oh, I mean, Jamie, I will tell you that growing up, I didn't know my MO. So I was told I was random. I was told that you need to finish what you start. You need to do more research. How can you just make that decision so blindly? All of these thoughts and ideas put some pressure on me, thinking that maybe the way I wasn't good enough or wasn't working for me. And it turns out that the number one word used to describe Colby and when they get the report is validating. And so when people get that information, when I got that information about myself, I was free. I was free to do things my way, which, to your question, has saved me energy and it has saved me time. And I'm not clawing or struggling to make my family any different than they are. Yeah. Because all of us combined, all 4 of us, have different strengths in the Colby chart and in the assessment. And we use each other's strengths to build up the family. And so even though I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, I always say it's not an age thing. It's an ability thing. Yeah. So if my 10-year-old is a rock star at finding his way off a mountain, we're going to look to him to get us down. And it works so perfectly that way. And my 12-year-old is very good. He has a need to finish what he starts. It's not a good or bad thing. He has a need to finish what he starts. And so when things come to the house, big things, grills, desks, beds, he's the one that puts them together. Wow. And if I didn't know his Colby, I don't know if I'd have the confidence. And then you start as a mom like, oh, you're too young. Yeah. Or, oh, that's too big of a project, right? And it's not. So when I give him the freedom, his confidence just goes through the roof. Yeah. And he's like, I can do this. And then, so he'll start to ask people, do you need me to help put anything together? And so it's just fun. It's super fun.
Oh, I love that. And what a powerful thing to bring within a family. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be able to really recognize those things and those differences and create that family unit in a healthy way. Like, I commend you for that, because, and I'm sitting here going, ooh, I need to do that on my kids. I totally do. But I love that you have that knowledge and that wisdom to be able to identify those things. So what do you feel, like if there's a woman watching and she's not sure of, what she has that's unique versus what she's been told she needs to be, how would you suggest she start to sort that out in her mind or in life?
I was talking with a friend about this, and I'm so thankful that you've asked me to be here to share. And I was talking with a friend about this, and I said, I don't know about you, but when my kids were little, it was pick a brush, because I was in survival mode. It was going to be your toothbrush or your hairbrush. Mostly it was the toothbrush, but literally it was a good day if you can get one brush in. So knowing how you work when you're in survival mode or after survival mode or whatever stage you're in will allow you. So if you started doing something and then you hear the voices like, oh, I need to finish that, or I need to pick that up. When you know how you work, you may do something like this, Jamie. You may be in the middle of a project, and as of course moms do, one thing leads to another.
Right.
Okay. But you give yourself permission to not finish, or if you have a need to finish, then something else doesn't get done and you don't feel bad. It's not, conation is not a moral issue. Okay. It's not a good, bad, right or wrong. You are simply making a decision. You're saving your energy. So if you finish this project and you're saying, I'm not going to do that project because my energy is going to be spent making dinner or taking care of myself or taking care of a child that needs me. So you recognize where you need to spend your energy and you're really specific about it. That's how I found Colby to help me as a mom and then as a business owner, is you get very specific about how you want to spend your energy and you do it wisely.
Yeah, because we know, I mean, if we're not wise with it, and I think if we're out of alignment, and then it's going to just suck our energy. So I really like how you're saying that, because it's a whole different way to think about it. And I can say, I've done that completely here recently, where it's like, oh, but I'm in alignment. And so the energy that I do put into it is so life breathing.
Yes.
So much joy, but we do have to be mindful of how much energy we're putting out day to day as well.
It's finite.
Yeah.
Energy is finite and you do use it up.
Yes.
And you, unlike time, I mean, you can replenish your energy, and usually people do it after a good night's sleep. And then they'll have a bunch of energy in the morning. And, depending on what you have going on, you can bank it for something. If you have a ton of interviews that night, you might bank your energy knowing you have things to do and you have ways to work that are going to require your energy later on.
Yes.
So it is, you definitely need downtime to replenish it. And I have seen people, and I've seen my kids and I've seen my clients do nothing, because that's one way to ignite your gut. Kathy Colby says, do nothing when nothing works. And so if you wait long enough, your conative energy will replenish and you will start working naturally. It's not something that you have to try and get, because it's already in you.
I never even realized that. You're so right. Wow. Thank you for that.
Yes.
This is so true.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm floored by that one.
What are you floored by? The time or the fact that it will happen regardless?
It will happen, because I am a personality where I'm just a go, 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 go. And I often, like, kind of what you were mentioning earlier, is often I'm like, why do I do this? Why do I have this? But if I just sit, it doesn't matter. I can just sit, and then all of a sudden it just is a big burst,
Right.
It happens. So
right.
I never thought of that as that being, I guess, what was happening. I just thought I kind of made it happen, but I don't, now that you've said that, no, it's definitely, it happens.
It'll just happen. Right.
I don't sit still well.
Right. Right.
So what are the main, with the Colby, what are the main, or how can you illustrate, I don't know what kind of word needs to go there, but the main types of personalities that you see come forth, or some of the traits that you see come forth? I just know that there's probably lots of women going, well, okay, what am I? Or how do I find out? And I know we'll go into that, but can you give an overall picture of what the generals are for that?
So there are 4 modes of behavior, and this is how someone works naturally. So it's all about the how. It's not about the why or the what. It's about the how. So the one thing that you need in order to move, Jamie, is motivation. Mm-hmm. If there isn't any motivation, nothing's happening. Yeah. No one's going anywhere. No one's going to get up off the couch and move. And anywhere in the creative problem solving process, as Kathy Colby has mentioned and said, anywhere in that process, someone can say with new information or the motivation can be lost and they won't work. So this mode of behavior, this cognitive measuring, only happens when people are working. And there are 4 modes of behavior that Kathy Colby has used in order to measure how someone works. And the first one is called fact finder. And this deals with gathering and sharing information. Okay, that's the first mode. And the second mode is called follow through. And this deals with organizing and systems. And then the third mode is called quick starts. And that deals with risk and uncertainty. And then the fourth mode is called implementer. And that deals with space and tangibles. So literally, the outdoors, and implementer means tools, implementations. And so I can give you examples of my family, some short examples. My husband initiates action and follow through. He is a research person. He does not appreciate yes or no questions or to be put on the spot. He has a need for information. He has a need for traditions. And so being married for 20 years as we have, I've learned that when I ask him a question, it is not, I expect a response after a certain period of time. I'm not going to get it instantaneously. And so he'll say, I need more information, or I need to look into that, which is great. And I let him do that. So my son, my 12-year-old Noah, initiates action and follow through. So he's the one that has a need to finish what he starts. He has to develop a plan or a system to finish something. When we're out running errands when he was younger, and I would add in an errand because it might have been across the street, Mom, what are we doing? Like, why are you switching the plan? Right? And I'm thinking, it's across the street, dude. But it wasn't on the list. Or I'm like, it's okay, right? But he works best. So when he develops, or when he embarks on a new, I would say a new thing in his life, he'll go to a system. He'll develop a system so he follows a plan. My 10-year-old initiates action in 2 modes, quick start and implementer, which makes him what's called a pioneer. He has a need for risk, physical risk. And in schools, that makes it challenging.
Yes.
He has a need for physical risk. So as a matter of fact, Colby has a career assessment called OpGig. And both of my kids and us, my husband and I have taken the OpGig career assessment. And the number 1 and 2 career for my 10-year-old is marine mammal trainer and smoke jumper. And he has a percentage of sustained success, and it's 94% rate of sustained success for those careers. Wow. And so, right. So you can't use Colby as an excuse in school. So you are going to have to do some research, and you're going to have to do some follow through. But the point is when you know your MO, you have the freedom even to do what you don't want to do. You can do it your way. So for him, the timer works really well. If he doesn't want to do his homework, set the timer and do it in 10-minute increments and race the clock.
Yes.
And that helps him. So myself, I initiate action in quick start. So I have a need for a lot of things happening at once. I was a great server. I was in advertising. You know, the way I run my business is guttural. Overthinking things takes me out of my stride. Yeah. So knowing this about myself and knowing this, about my family members, this is how we've used each other in the house. And that's a little example of how those modes work too.
Wow. Yes. My kids are going to love me when we get off this, because I'm like, we're going to do this, guys. I'm sorry. And it's very interesting that you mentioned the smoke jumping coming up on the career test, because I have a son that's a gymnast, and he constantly is sending me videos of, things he's learned, but he's in the basement, he's doing it in the house. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to be my high risk child. Like, he's going to do all kinds of adventurous stuff. but so that was funny because I could relate to
Mm-hmm.
I got earlier this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah. So with all of this information and thinking about women that are going to be possibly either beginning a career or maybe they are going to be starting to grow a business, which how would you explore that with them in, I guess, which stream would you take? Would you suggest a Colby, or what would you suggest they start with?
If they are the Colby A, which stands for adult, and the Colby Y stands for youth. The Colby A is what I call the mothership. Like that is a benchmark, and that is something about you that just doesn't change over time, like I said earlier. And so embarking on anything, starting with anything, I mean, this is in you like when you were little. So knowing this about yourself will help pave the way for how you're going to get there or wherever you're going to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really, I mean, that, like you're saying, that's the mothership. That's where they need to start. So I think that's a
Right.
good suggestion. And is that something that you offer through your business or?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, I definitely work with people on the Colby A's and give them face-to-face or audio interpretations. Absolutely. That's what I love about being a consultant is I tell them they're genius.
Oh, I love it. So the ladies can find you and they can start this whole process
Mhm.
with you. And so share with me, how did you figure out this is what you wanted to do? How did you find your passion?
I knew about this, like I said, in 1991. And I took my A in 1991, and then it had been some time. So I was in careers, ironically and amazingly, I was in careers in alignment with my MO.
Love it.
So, but there are different times in everyone's career where you're like, really? Like, this is icky sticky. Right? You don't want to do this part of it. And so, in knowing my MO, there are different things called conables that Colby has deemed as tips and tricks to help you get through the hurdles of those moments and times when you don't want to do some things. And it helps you tell you how you can do it. And so I was in careers. And then when I actually walked away from a 6-figure career, and I had had a hard time having a baby. And so I quit. I quit cold turkey, and I didn't have a job and I didn't have a baby. And I read The Purpose Driven Life, worked on a farm, worked in a women's shelter. And I was just asking God, like, what's the plan? What do you want me to do? How can I work for you? Like, this is all about you anyway. And so, and it wasn't right away, Jamie. I felt like it was 40 years in the desert, right? Sometimes, I mean, that those seasons happen. And over the next few years, as I was raising my kids and paying attention to them and recognizing how they work, I thought, I think this is the way I'm going to do this. I think that it's important to know that everyone has a special, as my kids call it. Everyone has a way of working that's perfectly designed for them. And that when I can help them, or when they can pour into it and they can walk unapologetically in their genius, like they shine. They're just rock stars. And so I think it started with my kids. And then a couple of friends of mine wanted me to work with them and use Colby for kids and to help in their business. And it just kind of evolved. So it just evolved into me doing my thing and helping people my way. So that's kind of how it evolved. It's pretty long story, but
No.
yeah.
No, it's great. And I love that you took that step to walk away from your career. I'm
Yeah.
not encouraging anybody, obviously, to do that if they can't, but that in that time you were able to really identify, you know, where this was going to go, and how it transformed you and how it evolved and what it's become.
Right.
I'm sure that day when you left, you didn't expect where you would be now.
No, not in a million years. And, you know, I got heat, right? You get heat from that. Like, what are you thinking? Are you crazy? Like, we had to sell our house. We had to make some serious changes. But the whole thing, Jamie, the whole time this was going on, is I was peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I was peaceful in a potentially crazy set of circumstances,
Wow.
which just reinforced
Mm-hmm.
that I was doing what I needed to do
Yeah.
and that it was the right decision, because I did feel a complete sense of peace. Even though it didn't make any sense to
Mm-hmm.
everyone else, I was like, that's fine. I'm good. I'm good this way. I'm good.
Yeah. And I think that's important that we know, you know, it doesn't matter if it makes sense, like you're saying, to anybody else. We have to be
Right.
in alignment with ourselves and our
Right.
purpose. So I'm glad you said that, actually, because that is very important. So tell the ladies where they can find you, or if they want to work with you, where they can, you know, come about connecting with you.
Mm-hmm. I think it's easiest when you know your MO, you definitely know if you're an email person or a phone person or a face-to-face person, because believe it or not, they go hand in hand. Your communication style and your MO, which stands for modus operandi, go hand in hand. And so I am going to say that my email is the best way to get a hold of me, but I'd prefer to talk on the phone. But if you want to shoot me an email at gailaswift@gmail.com, gailaswift@gmail.com. And if I'd call you in 2 seconds, I'd pick up the phone and give you a call if you want to drop your number. If not, then we can just email back and forth and talk about it.
I love it. And I tend to be that way too. Email always tends to be easiest, but I love that connection. You know, I love
Yes.
the connection, and like doing this project, the connecting
Right.
face has been so, so fun as well. So,
Yes.
and do you
Yes.
have a website that they can go to? I mean, we'll put links below, but I want you to share on that a little bit more as well.
Yep. That is just it's planstoprospercoaching.com, planstoprospercoaching.com. And that's the other thing, of course, the life verse, my life verse, Jeremiah 29:11, is exactly where the business name came from.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Like, expand on that. I love it.
So when I was sitting, and I have a story of grace I say about this, but when I was sitting in my office and my assistant was there, and I read an email that I was warned that I need to just have some time because it's a long email. It was 4 pages, and I was negotiating contracts, and it wasn't a good time to read the email, but I did. And I read in there that this guy, this businessman, decided that he would give up his career, and he decided to become homeless and give away Bibles to people. And the two things that he was, Jamie, when he made that decision, is he was peaceful and he was content. And I thought, how in the world could you leave like your big high tower
Right.
and be peaceful and content living on the street and giving away Bibles? And in that verse, he hung his hat on Jeremiah 29:11, where God promises that he has plans for your life, and specifically your life. And the guy believed that so much, and he was okay. And so it was because of that verse that I left my position knowing that then I would be okay, trusting God.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's why.
I'm so grateful that you shared that. And I can tell it's still tender. You know, it's a very raw story.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you shared that, because women need to know that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we can follow God's leading, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it doesn't make sense, maybe even to us,
Right.
but He has our backs. You know, He
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen. And I
Yes.
commend you for following that leading and following that purpose, because I feel it's completely transformed your world. And
Absolutely.
you know,
Thank you.
And
Yes.
your home may not be what it is today had you not taken that leap of faith. And I think
Right.
that's powerful.
Thank
So
you.
I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Is there anything else you want to share with the ladies before we close up that maybe, trying to figure out where they need to go into their purpose, or how they need, we have so many different avenues that we're helping these women in. Just, is there anything else that comes to your heart or to your mind that you want to share?
Be choosy, be particular. Be particular about where you spend your time and where you spend your energy. And it's okay. I mean, I will be here, and I'd love you to obviously learn more about yourself and take the Colby A. The assessment itself takes like 20 minutes to go through. And then the conversation that we have afterwards maybe takes an hour. And then you know that part of you that will never change. But if it's something, a timing issue where you're picking a brush, if it's like a toothbrush or a hairbrush, like, I'll be here, right? I'll be here. Colby will be here for you when you're ready to understand and hear the information. Yeah. So just be gentle, I guess. Just say be gentle. That would be my thing, what I'd say.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So grateful for you joining us, for you giving your time and sharing with the ladies. This has been absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you. All
Thank you,
right,
Jane.
ladies. Well, now you have some next steps that you can take in identifying your purpose and
Mm-hmm.
passion.
Mm-hmm.
Be gentle. So we will see you on the next side. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.